Well, welcome everybody. If you're new to my channel, my name's Ron. I'm semi-retired. I rotate back and forth from Texas to Michigan. I work several side hustles, Uber Eats, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, to stay busy and earn an extra buck or two. So today what I want to talk about is, are you in your perfect utopia world? And if not, what would you change, and where would you change it to? So if you had your perfect, where would be your perfect job, and where would it be? For me, I grew up in Michigan, but retired in Texas. I've been rotating back and forth now for the last 20 years. Come down into Texas, of course, in the winter, and back up to Michigan in the summer. Okay, so as I was growing up in Michigan, I grew up in about 30 years of Michigan, some winters, and as a kid, you know, no problem getting out there, snow, sledding, tobogganing, ice skating with my friends, you know, in school and stuff, skiing. But, you know, as I grow older, you know, pretty much kind of shied away from a lot of that. But there's still a lot of people that get out there and snowshoe and still like a lot of, you know, those activities. And, you know, that's fine if you can get out there and do them. Or even now there's a lot of stuff you can do inside, like, you know, even hitting golf balls or whatever, or shooting at the range or stuff. But for me, I retired out of Fort Hood, Texas. I'm retired military, and so we bought a place here down in Texas, and I found it convenient to just rotate back and forth. And like I said, I've been doing that for the last 20 years. But one reason that, and there's several reasons I want to list why I'm down here in Texas and not up there in Michigan, and the cold being one of them. But, you know, there's something called the seasonal affective disorder, SAS, where I'm sure a lot of you northerners now, which kind of myself used to know, the gray sky. It would be, you know, sometime for weeks before you'd see the blue sky. And down here in Texas, you'll still see a lot of, even though it's cold, especially at night, you'll still see a lot of blue sky, which helps your mood, and so it's very good for, you know, your vitamin D to keep your spirits high. Another one up there in Michigan was always the roads. My brother does a paper route. He gets up sometimes before the snow plows gets out. They're out there, and sometimes those roads are treacherous. And I know one time he said he just spun right around and ended up in the bank, you know. And sometimes he just doesn't even go out. He calls it in if the roads are really too bad. So down in Texas, you still see, like we had here, this is January 31st. I just went through a big snowstorm, and of sorts. We had snow on the ground, but nothing like up north or east. They did sand or whatever, salt, treat the roads. I still didn't go out in them when they were icy. I waited until they were until they melted, because for obvious reasons. Excuse me. But that's rare down here. We had one in 21, as some of you know, where the, you know, power was out for, I think it was 180 hours. And there have been other, you know, but they've made a lot of changes to that, to the grid now. And so this last one we just had, the winter, the power didn't go out, and we were good. Even when in 2021 the power where I was at only was out for a couple of hours. People in Houston and Dallas were not so fortunate. You know, some of them had water coming down out of their ceilings, and it was a mess. But they've made changes, and but on another video, you know, I'm going to prep and still get a generator in here, because at 70, it's going to be nice to just flip a switch, or if I can get a remote, turn on that generator, and be able to, run the stuff in my house. It can stay warm and be able to eat, survive. As I said, it's just the ease of mobility down here in Texas in the wintertime to get out. Like I said, I do Uber Eats, get out and do the deliver it from there, or if I do have to do drop-offs for eBay, a whole lot easier once the snow melts. And it doesn't, it probably hung around for maybe 3 or 4 days until it finally, melted off. But we start getting those days of 60 and 55, 60, and which is 60 is pretty much the average here in the winter in January, I think, in Texas. So it didn't take long for it to melt off. And this week coming up is supposed to be, well, enough of that for you guys up north and in east. And also too, when you're down here, even you buy clothes and stuff, you don't really need a lot, except for, it just seems like, especially in the summer, but the things are, I would argue, like gas now is cheaper. I'm spending $2.06 a gallon. It's hard to believe, even though the average here in Texas is $2.50. Where I'm at, it's like $2.06, and I know it's a lot more up north and east and west. So I guess that's just one example, but. So you've got to be somewhere, and whether you're fighting tornadoes out west or even here in Texas, I take off in late April before the tornado season pretty much starts, or you're in Florida fighting hurricanes. You've got to be somewhere. So I'm kind of picking my battles as to where I'm going to be, and if I leave out of here in the end of April, for the most part, I'm going to skip all the tornado season. I'm not in Florida, so I don't have to worry about hurricanes. And then when I get up north, there's occasional tornado once in a while, but it's usually farther south, or it'd be once in a great, anomaly that you'll get a big windstorm. We had blew a lot of trees down 5 or 10 years ago, and that kind of thing. But so I've been pretty lucky, and of course when I get out of there and come down to Texas around in October, middle of October or so, far ahead of the winter storm season, even though we'll get, a trail of that of sorts down here. And again, so why I don't go to Florida is, although it would be nice, for the insurance is high down there on places, trying to find a place where you're not going to get swept up by a hurricane, even though when I'm down there in January, I think that's, there wouldn't be a hurricane but so much, but when I leave, then we worry about whether your place is still going to be there when you get back. So for me, would I change anything? No, I mean, for the most part, I can't say, although I do like the weather a little bit better in Florida. Sure, there are places I would like Colorado in the summer, or Oregon, or maybe Idaho, or Montana. I like that in the summer. In the winter, if not Texas, then hey, Costa Rica or someplace close like that would be ideal too. But I've got a couple of dogs. I'm not going to fly them over there and back and that kind of thing. So that leads me to you guys. What about you? Are you happy and content? I don't think, some of you are, some of you aren't in this weather. Well, what would you do if you could change it? Where are you for one? And if you could change it, what would you do? And with that, I'll close out the video by saying thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe and the bell, and I'll see you down the road. Safe travels, everybody.